What is up everyone, and welcome back to some more F1 24 driver career mode, and we're here for round number 8 of our Formula 2 season. It is time for the Austrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring, and yes, once again, I've done a live stream, I've turned the music off, and I've completely forgotten to turn it back on before I started the recording of the video. So yes, this will be another video that is completely without music, but you'll just have to put up with it. Obviously, when I'm out on track, it won't be as critical of an issue, but yes, we are here at the moment in Austria. We come off the back of a decent weekend in Spain. We had a points finish in both of the races, but we should have realistically probably had a win in the feature race. It was just a fuel issue. We ended up running out of fuel at the very end, and that was enough to cause us to slip down to P4. And I mean, we still picked up good points. We're leading the championship by, I believe it's 53 points at the moment over Kushmaini, who ended up winning that feature race. So yeah, we're still in pretty good stead. We're now halfway through the season. So yeah, however much we've done so far, that's all we've got left now. And we are now out on track and ready to get going in qualifying. You may have seen in practice, I was all the way down in P21. The qualifying pace program, however, seemed to suggest that it believes that I will get pole position. So we'll see whether that comes true or not. But I was definitely fairly off the pace in the practice programs. So we're going to have to find a bit more pace here in qualifying if we want any chance of getting that coveted pole position. And certainly it wasn't good enough on our first lap. It was only good enough to put us what would be P14 at the end of the session. So we're going to need quite a big improvement here in our final flying lap of the session if we want any chance of getting onto that coveted pole position spot for the feature race. And well, we actually have managed to find a pretty decent improvement here, 4.5 tenths as we come on the run to the line, 1:14.7, and that is going to be good enough for pole position. Amazingly, I can't quite believe that has happened, but I am very happy that it has.
Goodbye for now then, but we really are just getting started. Make sure you join us again for Lights Out tomorrow.
Yeah, amazingly, we were 1/10 of a second ahead of the nearest car there in qualifying. Ayumu Iwasa was up there in P3. He's one of the title contenders as well, so he's going to be quite close to us. But yeah, Kushmaini, who's closest to me in the championship, was only P8, so he's not going to potentially score as many points as I am this weekend. Brad Benavides obviously down in P20, not great for him. Probably no points for him this weekend, but we'll see what we can do as we get into the sprint for the Austrian Grand Prix.
So it's all about speed in today's sprint race then. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? Spielberger's very short lap, one of the shortest we'll see in this Formula 2 championship. 7 rights and 3 lefts make up the 10 corners of the circuit. The left-hand kink of turn 2, leading into the uphill braking of turn 3, represents another overtake hotspot. In the commentary box, I'm Alex Shakes. Alex Brundle is alongside me, and now we've had sprints for years in Formula 2, but with a shorter race, how does that change your driving style?
We have seen stops before at the end of the sprint race, jumping onto that softer compound of tyre and having at it for the final few laps of the race. Indeed, we've seen sprint races won like that. So anything could happen out there. Don't send the pit crew home just yet.
The thing about that I don't really understand is that the tyre allocation kind of makes it impossible for you to switch onto the softer compound tyre at the end. Unless you're going onto a used set from qualifying, I guess, is about the only way that makes any sense to me whatsoever. So, yeah, a little bit of a confusing suggestion there that you should box at the end of any sprint race, really. Definitely the correct strategy, pretty much always, I would say, is to just try and push to the end on the same set of tyres. Now I'll be curious to see how things unfold over the course of this race fuel-wise, obviously, because in basically the last 3 races we've done in Imola, Monaco, and in Spain, we had fuel issues in all of them. So yeah, I want to make sure that hopefully we can actually have a race where I can push without having to be too concerned about what we're doing with the fuel. But we'll see what we can do as the lights come on. and the lights go out, and we've had a good getaway here compared to the rest of the cars around us, and now we're going to try and get ourselves potentially up into the points already. However, I have to be a bit conservative here. We've got ahead of Iwasa, which is nice, and now I'm going to try and see if I can get ahead of his teammate Arthur Leclerc, sprint race winner in the Monaco Grand Prix, of course, but yeah, no feature race wins for the younger brother of the Ferrari driver just yet, as we dive up the inside of multiple cars there. I was a little bit too late on the brakes, and we ended up making a bit of contact there with Zane Maloney, a bit of front wing damage, but hopefully we will be able to nurse that front wing damage to the end of the sprint race. It was only very, very minor, and we've made our way up into P7. Definitely wasn't a fair overtake on Maloney, but the game didn't make me give it back. I'm not giving it back. It's as simple as that. So we're going to now try and set our sights on Richard Verschoor in front. Obviously, he's been a bit of a championship contender this season, getting himself consistently onto the podium race after race after race, along with Jahan Daruvula as well. He's another one who, you know, is right up there in the championship fight. Miney as well, who I believe is currently running on the podium. But I think it's actually Isaac Hadjar in the high-tech car that is leading the race here on lap number 1. Clement Novalak in the mix there as well in the Trident. So, yeah, a few cars here in the top 6 that are kind of involved in the championship fight. Obviously, Martans and Iwasa as well, I would say, are cars that could potentially come in with a bit of a fight for the championship. But, I mean, like I said, my lead is very big at the moment, so I'm not too concerned. And we're just going to try and see what we can do up against the cars in front of us. I was actually surprised to see that we weren't losing that much performance on the broken front wing. I was able to look for a bit of a move on Richard Verschoor there up the inside, but I don't know if we're going to be able to make this overtake work, however, because he is staying with us the whole way on the run through the straight. But we outbrake him a little bit into the corner and do make our way up into P5. So we're already up 5 positions in the space of a little over 3 laps in this race, and well, maybe the podium could be on for me yet. We've got a couple of Indian drivers just ahead of us. We've got Daruvula, we've got Miney, so we will see whether we can move ahead of these 2 title contenders and try and get ahead of these guys as well. We have an objective here to not damage the front wing anymore. After that initial contact with Maloney, the Barbadian driver, we are going to have to try and look after the front wing a little bit more. So I'm going to do what I can to protect it from this point onwards, but it is not going to be easy. It is going to be anything but easy to avoid that contact. You know, I was looking for moves. You saw actually around the time that objective was set for me, that I very nearly made contact with Daruvula as it was being set, but yeah, I kind of had to back out of the move I was looking for up the inside of Daruvula. We do eventually pass the objective, as you just saw. I was able to keep it clean. However, it's kind of stifled my progress a little bit. You know, I was not really going for too many more risky moves at this stage. I thought about looking for a move up the inside of Daruvula here on lap number 9, and well, we've ended up going wheel to wheel here, but I am going to have the DRS. So, you know, with the 1/10 gap, maybe there exists an opportunity for me to look for a move on Daruvula, maybe around the outside here at the downhill braking zone, but we've gone very deep there, and unfortunately I think that means that we're going to have to sit behind him for a little bit longer. However, I may have accidentally put him out of Miney's DRS range. I think he's just about still in it by the looks of things, so we're going to have another go here on lap number 10. See if we can get ahead of Jahan Daruvula. We've been set an objective to get ahead of him before the start of lap 13. So we've got the rest of this lap and then a couple more laps after that to try and get ahead of this driver, who it feels like we've been racing with on so many occasions throughout the course of the season. And as we make our way onto lap 11 now, you can see that we are still 3/10 behind him. It just feels like I'm never close enough to look for a move up the inside of Jahan Daruvula, but we've braked late here. We're going to look to the inside, and we make our way up the inside of Daruvula, make our way into P4, and we actually got a PlayStation trophy for that one as well. Yes, I do play on PlayStation, for those of you who didn't know that. Yeah, for completing, I believe it is 50 dynamic objectives in the Formula 1 game, and we haven't even made it to Formula 1 yet, so that is boding incredibly well for us. And now hopefully we will be able to bring home this P4. It would have been nice to get on the podium, but unfortunately it just it didn't materialise for one reason or another. We just ended up not really being able to close down the likes of Miney, Hadjar, Novalak, all of these people out in front. It will actually be Clement Novalak coming home with the win today. Our tyres were pretty wrecked towards the end of that race, but we have managed to live on to the end of the race crossed the line to take P4 as you saw there, and yeah, I mean I'm pretty happy with that from P10 to P4 over the course of the sprint race. It's a comfy 5 points picked up, and keeps the championship lead pretty much the same as it was before.
It was a tough race at times, but they've held on to take a great victory for Trident today.
Well, the sprint win's not where the big points are handed out, but it sets them up well for tomorrow and gives a lot of confidence for the longer feature.
Our drivers are making their way out for the podium celebrations, and it's going to be Trident picking up the winner's trophy. Congratulations to the entire team for coming out on top in that amazing race.
Well, if I was going to see anyone win this race of those top 3 drivers, I would not have expected it to be Novalak, but he has actually pulled it off. So, yeah, big respect to him. Hajar and Miney making up the top 3. Miney keeping himself in this championship fight by doing a good job to finish ahead of me there. But, yeah, we were right behind him in that P4 position.
After all this drama, you would be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you then. Take care.
So yeah, we got the bonus 2 points for the qualifying as well, and actually we got the fastest lap in that race as well. So at the moment we're outscoring Miney over the course of this weekend, and with him qualifying all the way down in P8, I think it's going to be very difficult for him to do really anything to stop us from outscoring him in the feature race. The driver that I think we've got to be concerned about potentially is Ayumu Owasa, who will be starting around us, as will Victor Martins as well. Both of those drivers that we've been competitive with over the course of the season so far. But yeah, we're looking pretty good in this championship now. One thing that is pretty exciting, if we can get meta for a second, I actually maxed out the podium pass yesterday, as I'm recording this at least, so probably 2 days ago as you're watching this, or maybe even further ago if this is not a particularly recent video that you're watching. But yeah, I maxed out the podium pass, which is really nice because it means I don't have to edit out that awkward bit where it tells me how much experience I gained on the podium pass at the end of every single competitive session, which you know, hopefully will streamline the editing process for me a little bit. And also make the recording process a little bit quicker, only by like a minute or so, but you know, every minute counts in this business. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about that, and it's only come at the expense of me basically devoting my entire life to playing this game for the past week. But you know, I'm enjoying the game, it's a lot of fun, and hopefully I will be able to continue delivering you what I believe to be quite good content, quite good racing, and you know, really entertaining videos on this game over the course of the game's life cycle. We're making our way into Formula 1 pretty soon now, and you know, I just keep delivering these solid performances in the sprint races. I'm making my way through the field nicely, and in the feature races, you know, I'm leading the field nicely in a lot of these races. Yes, obviously I ran out of fuel in the Spanish Grand Prix, but apart from that, you know, we've won we won the feature race in Imola, we won it in Monaco, and well, now I have a really good opportunity to win it here in Austria as well, and we should have won it in Spain potentially as well. So if we win in the feature race coming up, then that will be 4 feature race victories in a row that we should have had. Obviously Baku was a bit of a different story. That was just a complete write-off for me of a weekend. But Australia, again, we got a victory that weekend. In the sprint, we had the feature race victory in Jeddah. Just everything really starting to look up for us now, as I'm getting to grips with the way that this car drives.
Here we are amidst the dense forest and rolling hills of Spielberg in Austria, just 2 hours out of Vienna. It's an amazing destination for the race today, and we're about to get started. So Spielberg is one of the shortest laps on the F2 calendar, just 10 corners, 7 right and 3 left. Look out for the uphill braking zone into turn 3 that represents one of the better opportunities to overtake. Also turn 4 straight afterwards, and then the next one being all the way back round to turn 1. Let's take a look at the grid positions for today's race. Robinson lines up on pole position, with Victor Martins alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Owasa, Maloney, Arthur Leclerc and Deruvala. For sure, Miney, Novalak, Isaac Hadjar, Cordial, Doohan, Juan Manuel Correa, Roman Stanek, Behrman, Crawford, Porcher, Dennis Hauger, Vesti, Benavides, Fittipaldi, and Ralph Boschon completes the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's get down to the track. It is the Formula 2 race. It is time to introduce you to Alex Brundle. I'm Alex Jakes, and we've got changeable weather out there today. That's making for some nervous team personnel down in the paddock, down in the pit lane.
Well, uncertainty is what strategy's all about, but it absolves the teams from the responsibility of running both compounds of tyre. They might have to use that wet tyre, of course, and then the question is, where do those crossovers lie between the wet and dry conditions?
If I get to Formula 1 and then I have to continue hearing this changeable weather conditions voice line all the time, I'm going to be incensed, quite frankly, because I think that's what, the 7th time I've heard it now, and ironically I think the one time I didn't hear it was when it was actually a wet race. So yeah, that's oh wait, no, the one time I didn't hear it was the Bahrain race, wasn't it, when it was the first race of the season and they had a big thing about it being the first race of the season and all that kind of thing. So yeah, I think every other race since that point we've heard about changeable weather conditions, and I just feel like I need to hear them talk about anything, literally anything else. So yeah, we park our way up on the grid for the feature race. I got a bit distracted at the start there, which is why Victor Martins overtook me at the beginning on this formation lap. But yeah, feature race, 25 points up for grabs here, and yeah, hopefully we'll be able to bag all of them as the lights come on and the lights go out, and we've had another good getaway here compared to Victor Martins on the front row alongside me. He is going to have to settle in for P2 as we make our way into the first corner and hold on as we progress now through the Styrian Alps. 20 laps here in the F2 feature race, and I'm pretty confident in my ability to deliver a good victory here in the race today. If I can break out of the DRS range, that would be ideal, but if not, I don't think it'll be the end of the world, because this is not a particularly difficult track to manage a lead at. I know what you're thinking. It's a bunch of straights. The DRS is super powerful. It's actually not, surprisingly. I find that, you know, unless they are really, really close to you, with the DRS, it's not that potent, because the combination that makes the AI particularly strong in Formula 1 is the DRS and the battery combined. That's what really makes the AI particularly strong in Formula 1. But in Formula 2, obviously, there is no ERS modes. There's nothing like that. So there's not very much that they can do to really catch up to you, as I make a bit of a mistake there, but I think we've managed to just about bail ourselves out of it and not allow Martins to get it close enough to go for an overtake here. But yeah, no ERS modes in Formula 2 means that it is a lot more difficult for them to overtake unless they really have a good exit of the corner compared to you. And if there's one thing I am good at around Austria, it's maximising my corner speed so we can have the best possible exit. So yeah, I'm pretty confident in my ability to keep the cars behind as long as we break out of that DRS range eventually. However, as we make our way into lap number 3, it hasn't happened quite yet, so we may come under a bit of pressure here from Victor Martins. In fact, is he going to look for a move up the inside here on lap number 3? I think he is. We're going to have to try and hold him off around the outside, but I think he's got the DRS once again, and now this is the place where the DRS is going to come into full effect here, because he's going to have a bit more straight line speed when we're wheel to wheel. That is going to provide him the advantage he needs to make his way up into lap 3, and so much for me giving it the big one. We are down into P2 now. Victor Martins takes the lead here in Austria, and we've still got a long way to go, but what that does mean is that I am now going to have the DRS to get back past Victor Martins potentially, and we're going to use it to full effect to try and go around the outside of him here into turn number 3. And well, we actually don't get past him on this occasion, but we will have the DRS once again, so I'm now going to try and use this to launch myself around the outside of Victor Martins as we go down into this hairpin. However, I think we've kind of done a similar thing to what we did with Deruvula before. We went a bit too deep there. We actually made contact with Victor Martins there as he sent his way through the corner, and somehow we've managed to come out on the losing side of that battle. I don't really understand how. He fully drove into us and everything. I didn't really have much more room on my outside of anywhere I could have gone. I was ahead of him. I don't really see how that move from him was justified, but if I get back past him, then I will be prepared to overlook this one on this occasion from Victor Martins. And you can see just how fast I am through this sequence of corners. Through the final couple of corners, I am so much stronger than Victor Martins is. We gained so much time on him. We are right on his diffuser, and finally I think we are going to maybe pull off this move. We're going to have the DRS into the next DRS zone, but we're already ahead of Victor Martins by the time we get there, so this could potentially present us with an opportunity to break away from the French driver and make our way into P1, maybe even for good for the rest of this race. I'm boxing in only a few laps time as well. You know, the super soft tyres, they're only built to last about 10 laps or so around this circuit, so I'll probably be boxing around lap 8 or something like that. And yeah, I think we'll probably get an objective soon if I had to guess, because it's been a little while and we haven't had one in this race yet. However, it's actually a Yumu Iwasa who's coming to play on this occasion, not Victor Martins. So Iwasa's made his way past the French driver and up into the lead of the race. So you know, I keep talking this big game about, oh, I think I'm gonna break away from them now, and it just doesn't seem to be happening for one reason or another. I don't really know where my pace has gone. I definitely seemed to be a lot faster than them, you know, beforehand, but I just can't seem to break this. I can't seem to break this sort of DRS train that I'm currently, you know, swapping between heading and being second in the queue for. So yeah, like I said, DRS train. We're swapping around once again. Who's leading the train? This time Ayumu Iwasa is the driver who was leading the race. He's now back down into P2 as we get back past him with the DRS, and finally we get a dynamic objective here to achieve an average lap time of a 1:18.598. However, I believe this objective is going to be postponed because we are going to be coming into the pit lane at the end of lap 8, and obviously that is going to massively alter our prospective lap times here in Austria. So yeah, they do abandon the objective in the end, and we are coming into the pit lane now to go on to a set of soft tyres to the end of the race. Now the soft tyres undoubtedly will do the rest of the race. They did 14 laps in the sprint, so I'm pretty confident they can do 12 laps here in the feature race as well. Going for a bit of an undercut. Obviously we didn't need it, we were leading the race. However, if we can use this as an opportunity to finally break out of that DRS range to the cars behind, then that would be an absolutely ideal scenario here, and would potentially allow us to win without any real problems going forward from this point. So yeah, I believe that is Victor Martins that is leading the race at the moment. He's decided not to come in here on lap number 10, where Iwasa and Maloney both have, so potentially we could be seeing Maloney on the podium now instead of Victor Martins, unless he really can get a wriggle on here and do everything he can to keep his position on that podium, doing an extra lap compared to most of the cars that he was racing with. Obviously double stacking in Formula 2, it's not really a thing because the pit stops are a bit longer. And as we regain the lead of the race, let's see, where will Victor Martins come out here? Yumu Iwasa, I think, has definitely done this, as Martins hasn't even left the pit lane yet. Maloney's gone through as well, and I think Vashaw actually has made his way up into P4 here as well. So Victor Martins has lost 2, maybe 3 positions off the back of that later pit stop than everyone else. We get another objective here. We're going to try and achieve a low lap time if we can. My best lap time so far is only you know, a 1/10.5 faster than that. So actually we're going to need a very good lap time here if we want to beat that one. But I still think we have a pretty good opportunity to do it. You know, the tyres are still pretty fresh. They're looking good. I'm lapping faster at the moment. 2 green sectors. Can we make it a third one to do another fastest lap here? I think the answer is going to be yes, as we cross the line. No, we actually narrowly miss out on the fastest lap, but we do improve over the objective time. Only a 100th of a second off of my best lap time. Pretty good stuff. And well, nothing really happened for a very long time after that, up until they asked me to set an average lap time, 1:18.259, over the next few laps or so. So the next 3 lap times are going to be judged here. However, we're not actually going to find out if we pass the objective or not, because it is going to end at the same time as the race. However, with a 1.014 advantage over the average so far, you would have to say I'm looking pretty good as we make our way around the final few corners now on lap number 20. No real pressure from Ayumu Iwasa. I did worry for a while that he might get in that DRS range. It never happened. And yeah, we were able to just comfortably control the remainder of the race. The first half was a bit more action-packed, but the second half, you know, it was well worked, well managed. We used the slightly older tyres just right to be able to maintain that lead, and we crossed the line to take P1. It sounded like we did pass that dynamic objective as well, which is nice. Will be a bit more rating gain for us, but not as substantial as the rating gain I'm sure we'll get from having won this race. And that is another feature race victory now in Formula 2, and surely I am going to be winning this championship now, no matter what.
Brilliant stuff from PHM by Charouz today. What a superb victory.
We've heard stories of drivers watching the race on the big screens while they're going around leading with that kind of advantage. I reckon that's what they were doing, you know, AJ.
This is it. This is where they all want to be. Here come the top three then, out onto the podium after a fascinating race.
So it's a couple of Red Bull back drivers, or at least as they were in 2023. Zane Maloney now, I believe, is affiliated with Kick Sauber. But yeah, it is P1 for myself. Ayumu Iwasa grabbing P2 there and potentially keeping himself in this championship fight. We'll see where he comes out in the standings. And Zane Maloney in P3. Not having the best of seasons here like he is in real life in Formula 2 at the moment, but still a pretty decent result for him.
There will be plenty more twists and turns to come this season. I hope you'll join us at the next race when Formula 2 returns.
Well, it will certainly be an extension to our championship lead no matter what. I actually did remember to show the standings this time, so those will be coming up in a minute. Yeah, but no matter what happens, we outscored everyone by at least 15 points here this weekend. Once again, we were the best driver here, and we are starting to have what I would describe as a Piastri-esque, Russell-esque, Leclerc-esque season where I'm just, you know, absolutely dominating everybody. We're 72 points ahead of Kushmaini. Only 3 other drivers are even on 100 or more points, and I'm on nearly 200. The team is leading the team's championship by 70 points. If I was the only driver that had scored points for the team so far, I would still be leading the Constructors' Championship on my own. This is turning into an utterly dominant season. I'm trying to do everything I can to balance the difficulty, to make things a bit harder for myself. And still, it is not enough because we are just delivering delivering consistently. And I think that's the name of the game in Formula 2. It always has been. Even in the races where I'm not winning, I'm still delivering consistent points pretty much every single time. You know, we got 1 point in that Spanish sprint race where I made that late overtake to get myself up into P8, I believe it was. And it's just stuff like that every single time. It does add up gradually, sequentially over the course of the season. You know, you've had a number of pole positions, and that helps out as well. That gives you a real advantage in the championship as well. When you gain 2 points every time you get the pole position, when you get the fastest laps, there's 2 of those up for grabs every weekend. Those things really do make a huge difference in Formula 2. Couple that with the fact that, like I said, the consistency has been there for me. We've been consistently challenging for wins and podiums, and even in sprint races when we've been starting outside of the points, we've managed to work our way into the points and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm feeling really good about our chances of winning this championship now. We are looking very strong, and I mean, surely it can't be long now before one of these F1 teams comes knocking. Surely someone at some point has to come and say, hey, you need to be in Formula 1. You know, this cannot be a situation where they put me on the bench for a season. This is a better season than Oscar Piastri had when he had his championship winning season. You know, he won the championship with what, one session to go, I think it was. He wrapped it up in... It was actually a season where they were doing 3 races of a weekend, if I'm not mistaken, and I believe he wrapped it up in the second race of the final weekend in Abu Dhabi. At the rate we're going, we're not even going to need to go to Abu Dhabi, such is the nature of my domination. This is like Felipe Drugovich levels of domination, who, by the way, I still think is an absolute travesty that he is not in Formula 1, because he absolutely deserves the ability to showcase his skills in Formula 1. I believe. But it doesn't look like that day is ever coming for him. So hopefully we don't find ourselves locked in a Drugovich situation. Of course, the difference between myself and Drugovich is that this is my first season in Formula 1, and we're already showing this level of domination. We were looking pretty good from the get-go. Yes, the Bahrain race wasn't fantastic, but pretty much ever since that moment, we have just looked, ready to come to the races, ready to play every single weekend. And yeah, I mean, I'm feeling pretty good about that, and I hope that we can continue this for the last 6 races, or the last 6 weekends of the season, I should say. Great Britain, the Silverstone race, is coming up next, and my home race, I'm very excited for that one. I'm hoping to deliver an even more dominant performance than we've shown so far in these race weekends, just to really prove that I am the top dog around these parts. And yeah, that is going to be it for this video. So if you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.